Let's look at how you can assign a Desmos activity as well as how you can control the pacing of that activity when students are inside of it. So, when you're in teacher.desmos.com and you find an activity you want to use or you've created an activity you want to use, you can assign it right down here with this assign button. I use the arrow next to it, and then I assign to classes because I want my students to log in, and I have already linked to a Google Classroom class. And if you haven't done so, you can, or you can create classes other ways, but those are in other videos. I'm going to go ahead and select my sandbox course here and click assign. Once I've assigned to a class, an activity session will pop up here underneath the assign button. And there's a couple things I want to point out. First off, this view dashboard is where you can go in and control which slides the students are on and also see the students' responses as they're working on the assignment. These three dots right here, if I click on that, I can get this student link. Now, if you're using Google Classroom, then you can just have the students click on it there. If not, you can use a student link to send to your students. So I'm going to copy that link, and I might put this into an LMS such as Schoology or email it to them or whatever way I'm getting that information to my students. Now I'm just going to paste it over here in my student account. So this is going to load, and you can see my student's name is already here because I am logged in as that student. And then I click go, and my activity is here. Now, I have not, as a teacher, restricted which slides my students can get to. So the students will be able to go through all of the different slides in the activity because I have not done anything to change that. So what I'm going to do is go into View Dashboard over here in my activity session. And now as a teacher, I am going to mess with the pacing so that it's going to lock students into specific slides where I want them to be. So you can see that my student is in here because all of these are gray. My other fake student is not logged in. And so now I want to show you what happens if I type in it as a teacher. First off, I do want to show you that my student, you can see where the student is in the slides because it will actually follow where they are. If you have multiple students across multiple slides, you'll see how many students are on each slide, and you can hover over to see which students they are. So I'm going to go to one where I can actually enter something, and I'm just going to enter in something random. So I'm just going to put 15 here. Once I've done that, a little dot is going to pop up over here on my teacher side that lets me know that the student has interacted with the slide. They have actually put something onto the slide. And now if I click on that, I can see what the student has put, even though they have not done a submit yet. So if they do submit and explain and they explain their thinking, I'm going to just type like so, and then I'll click share with class. And if I go in there again, now you can see that they've explained their thinking. And then other student responses are also going to come up. Now, I am going to close that out, and let's look at how to pace this. So let's say I only wanted my students to go through slides 1 and 2, and then we were going to have a class discussion. So I don't want them to keep going on to slides 3 and beyond. So I can click on this pacing button right here, and then I'm just going to select slides 1 and 2, and then click the orange button to restrict students to those slides. So now notice the next button is no longer active. So I can go to slide 1, I can go to slide 2, and I cannot go beyond that. If I now want to allow them to add on slide 3 because I still have students working on 1 and 2, but I want them to move forward, I can add on slide 3. And so now my students would have that ability. Or I can completely change up what they're working on. I can click edit. Let's say I want them on slides 4 and 5 now. So when I click restrict, look what happens on the student side. It forces them over to that first slide in the new group that you've selected. So now my students will be working on this, and I will be able to see what they're doing by clicking on the different slide areas here beneath each of the activity pieces. So that is how you control the pacing of the activity. And in another video, we will look at student responses and student feedback.